called Dark Matter. For the bee, the exhibit tells me, the flower petals are psychedelic, lighting up like a landing strip in the night for a lost pilot, amidst the grasses here depicted by large greenish styrofoam tubes bending unnaturally under a black light. A few puppet bees hang from the ceiling by wire, their shadows thrown on the wall more convincingly bee-ish than their handmade figures hung around the room in effigy, reminding me of two things. The black light poster I kept above my bed circa 1973, featuring a velvety rainbow over which coursed a velvety waterfall, at the base of which sat a velvety white unicorn, looking off into the distance with unreal blue eyes that I never once questioned or smirked at, finding the whole thing beautiful and having not yet entered a time of questioning. And the 4 dead bees I discovered last week, each within several feet of each other atop the meager snow in my backyard, their bodies' last warmth having melted enough snow to create tiny concave settings in which their curled forms were the gemstone. Something about a dead bee in the snow is sad. 2 dead bees in the snow are curious, 3 mysterious, and 4 a phenomenon not easily put aside, especially in this time of human-made disasters. But this is about all we have, looking for patterns in the chaos. My father had a good friend when I was a child who dedicated his whole life to the study of nature. It struck me as cruel irony that he died of a bee sting on a camping trip when he forgot to bring his antidote. The bee stung him on the throat, and his girlfriend watched as he slowly stopped breathing. Such a small, industrious messenger of doom. So I ask you, who's in control? I took the poster off my wall at some point when it seemed dusty and naive, when I'd gotten much smarter and cut my hair into a bob like Dorothy Hamill. I rolled it up and threw it in the attic, where it stayed until I had to move my mother out many years later. Mom didn't want to go, so she just sat in her recliner while I packed, organized, and discarded around her, moving her last of all, like a box marked fragile. All her best memories were in that house, and she would never willingly call anywhere home again. I'd like to say I found the poster, unrolled it, and rediscovered a sense of beauty and wonder from my childhood, but I think it landed in the dumpster due to my somewhat resentful frustration at my task. Maybe sense of responsibility is inversely related to sense of wonder, which would explain why the older people get, the less likely they are to have it. It is later, during the Dark Matter movie in the planetarium, that I can see the universe expanding faster and faster away from us, speed represented by long red trails the stars leave behind, like 4th of July over the lake. Apparently, the speed has been building for 5 billion years, proving our collective lack of guilt in at least this phenomenon. And how fully 95% of the observable universe is dark matter. Like how that shadow bee was more a bee than the actual bee, the vastness of what we don't understand. But it is when the movie's narrator, with his resonant actor's voice, draws little circles with X's in them to show each person's vantage point in the universe, that I get it. No matter where you are, you're always in the center. There's no other point of reference. Like Mom in her recliner, her whole known world moving away from her. And even though her new home would be clean and bright with nice people around and things to do, she would forever see through the eyes formed in the big bang of her life, when she started as a singularity, then met my father and began her expansion. But at a certain point, like the universe, dark energy starts to take over and we begin to collapse. In the meantime, we still have these holes in our head through which everything streams, 5 billion-year-old light hitting the retina upside down and flipping, the actor's voice wiggling the eardrum like waves across an ocean, the warm feel of our fellow passengers around us, the arching back of the neck on the stacked sequence of vertebrae so as not to miss anything. And it's all held together, as it were, by gravity, like the bee puppet dangling from a wire, and this one spoonful of time, our own melted setting in the snow in which we are the gemstone. And the whole thing really terrifyingly beautiful.